Welcome to Responsive Design, the state of the art of website design. My goal in this presentation is to create a better understanding of the digital world and give you some valuable information that you can use to better serve your marketing needs. So the internet has undergone some big changes in the last few years. One of the biggest changes has been a move to responsive design. I'll start with a bit of history and then I'll explain how it all works. Once upon a time, websites only had to be made for the good old-fashioned computer monitors. Although they varied in size somewhat, it was easy enough to establish a common size that worked for all of them. But in 2007, the iPhone was released. The iPhone offered an easy-to-use interface that was a milestone for mobile devices. While phones had the ability to connect to the web, they weren't very easy to use and generally didn't work well. Steve Jobs, here he is presenting the iPhone 3. It included a way to use websites and view them through the Safari browser more intuitively than the previous internet connected phones. And then in 2008, the mobile operating system Android was released by Google, and since then the phone use on the web has dramatically increased, and we just want to give a nod here to the Windows phones also. So during this time, people were surfing on the web on their phones, but since the websites themselves weren't made to fit well on a smaller phone screen, the user experience didn't match that of the desktop. Here's an example of a non-responsive website. So you see on the left here, this is what the full screen view would look like if you would go to the website from your phone. So you can't really easily read it. So then you had to pinch and zoom, and you can see what that site looks like on the right-hand side. And again, it's not a good user experience, and it's not formatted for mobile devices, so it was very frustrating to use. So what was the solution at the time? For the last few years, many websites had to be split into two separate websites, one for desktop and one for mobile. So this helped the mobile experience, but for those of you who had to maintain two different websites, it was not that efficient, and anytime content needed to be updated, you had to update them on both sites. In 2010, the iPad was released, sparking yet another branch of web-connected devices with varying screen size. The separate desktop-mobile approach doesn't really address this screen either. And now we're going to add to the mix more screen sizes, especially since we are now into Internet TV. And here is a very large screen size. So the result of all of this innovation were thousands of devices with many, many different screen sizes. Here's a chart that shows the market share of smartphones, tablets, laptops, and PCs from 2013 to the guesstimated 2017, and it's pretty clear that phones aren't going anywhere, and there's a number of them that are taking over. This, which we love this image that was posted on Everspaces, this is a really cool mosaic illustration of all the different screen sizes in 2014. Quite a few there. So now in 2015, let's add another milestone to the mix, which is the future of mobile is now, quoted by Google's VP in charge of AdWords. And in May of 2015, Google announced that more search requests are now being made on mobile devices. So if you haven't heard of Mobilegeddon actually Google overhauled its search engine algorithm to favor those sites that are mobile friendly. What this really comes down to is that if your site is not mobile friendly and someone searches your site on a mobile device, it has a good chance of not showing up in search results. And it's estimated that there are more than 7 billion mobile phones on the planet as of 2014. That's about the same number as the entire human population on Earth. And according to Google, there are more than 18,000 different Android devices available in the world today. In the U.S., about 94% of the people with smartphones search for local information on their phones, restaurants, shopping, and more. So what do we do about all of this? Do we design thousands of versions? Do we ask people to stop using and manufacturers making so many devices? Or do we create a magical website that resizes to whatever we want to view our online experience through? It's number 3. It's a magical website that resizes to any screen, and it's called responsive design. Here's a quote from the VP of Products at Adobe that responsive design represents a fundamental shift in how we build websites for the decade to come. And our designers here at Anderson Direct and Digital, I mean, they don't think that mobile is going away anytime soon until they create some sort of virtual orb of information that just kind of floats around in the air. Okay, so now we're getting to what exactly is responsive design. I'm not going to get too technical, and I'm going to explain this, and hopefully those of you who are, have a little bit of knowledge still walk away with some information that is useful. So responsive design is a web layout that responds to its environment. Environment meaning the screen size. And there are 3 most common sizes, and those are the desktop, the tablet, and the phone. So how does it work? A responsive design has what is called breakpoints and media queries. A breakpoint is a point that the layout alters to fit the different screen size. A breakpoint, the point at where the layout breaks. A breakpoint is defined as is set by a media query, and a media query is the code on the website that tells the browser the width of the site it can use. With this information, the browser is able to use the breakpoint that is meant for it and then reflow the design in the best page size. And these are the common breakpoints for the 3 screens. For desktop, it's 1024 pixels. For tablet, it's 768 pixels wide, and for the iPhone, it's 320 pixels wide. So this is what happens. What changes at these breakpoints? Exactly. It's the font sizes, the paragraph formatting, image resizes or swapped out. Elements can be repositioned, hidden, or shown, and content is reflowed. So let's actually look at this in practice. We're looking here at FoodSense, one of our senior designers' favorite sites, to show examples of responsive design. So first, this is the desktop. Notice the position of the logo, the menu, and the size of the main image. Now we're going to switch it. Here is the tablet view. The logo and the menu have both been repositioned above the main image, and the columns are a little bit tighter. The cupcake image is also smaller. So I'm going to go back so you can see again the difference. And you can see there the code that we have shown you in the upper portion of the screen. You can see here this says, for the tablet, it's a minimum device width, a minimum of 768, and a maximum of 1023. Because when we go to the desktop, it's anything above 1024, a minimum width of 1024. Let's look at the phone layout. So it has been reflowed into a single column. The icons on the menu have been hidden. The logo is now centered above the main menu. And the image has been swapped out for a new version that fits better on the phone. And you can see now here the minimum device width. See there in the upper right-hand corner, we've given it to you. The minimum width is 320, and the max width is 767, because at 768, it moves to the tablet version. And there are some additional complications to the design and development of the responsive site. The ability to respond to the size of the screen is the simplest solution to the multiplying devices of the world. So what do you take with all this knowledge? Well, one, check if your website is responsive. You can resize your browser by simply dragging the corner of your browser screen to make it smaller, appear smaller on your website. You can also actually, on your browser, you can also go to this link that we've given you, and Google will analyze your site and tell you if it's mobile friendly or not. We definitely ask that you go to your web team and ask if they're familiar with Google's mobile get an algorithm, and if they're familiar with responsive design, or reach out to your digital agency and ask them for tips and recommendations on mobile design. Well, thank you for attending. I hope this was informative and a little bit entertaining, and we will see you again in our next series that will help explain all the mysteries of mobile design.